Alright guys, in today's video we are doing a speed test and comparison between the brand new iPad Air 4th generation and the iPad Pro 2020 11-inch. The iPad Air does have the new A14 Bionic chip, and then the iPad Pro 2020 does have the A12Z. So a bit of a difference in the chips. This is a brand new 5nm chip. This is still the 7nm chip. So we're going to see which one is faster, which one clocks up better, because obviously the iPad Pro is a lot more expensive than the brand new iPad Air. This starts at about $1,300. This starts at about $900. So it's going to be interesting to see which one is faster. So without further ado, let's hop straight into the test. Alrighty guys, hopping into the speed test. The first thing we're going to do is a boot up test. So let's power down both devices here. And we just want to see which one starts up first here. Obviously the brand new iPad Air 4 on the right hand side here has the brand new A14 Bionic, and on the left the iPad Pro 11-inch 2020 has the A12Z. So we'll see which one starts up first. There we go. Let's hold the buttons both at the same time. Alright, so look at the iPad Pro turned on first. And the Apple logos do look a bit smaller on this for some reason. That's weird. I don't know why. I don't know why that would even be a thing. But anyway, we're going to see what happens. Alright, so the iPad Air comes through first. Alright, as you guys can see here, both have the same Wi-Fi. And everything else is the exact same, screen brightness the exact same. I'm going to clear the app switches out. Alright, so as you guys can see, both app switches are cleared out. So first we're going to do some light app opening, and then we're going to head into some bigger apps in the speed test area. So let's just start with something like maps. So 1, 2, 3, pretty much exactly the same. Camera, 1, 2, 3. iPad Air focused first. App Store, 1, 2, 3. iPad Air destroyed it for some reason. Still loading on the iPad Pro there. Let's redo that test. Oh no, that's coming through now. It's taken about 30 seconds longer than what it should have. iPad Air beat it there. Alright, so there's just some light apps there. Nothing too dramatic. Let's hop onto something that's a bit more intensive. We'll start with the games and we'll get to the benchmarks. Now the difference is this has 4 gig, this has 6 gig of RAM. So I want to see how after we open all the apps, if they're still loaded in the background. So it's going to be quite interesting to see. So on the count of 3, we're going to open Among Us. So 1, 2, 3. Pretty much neck and neck. iPad Air beats it out there. iPad Pro still loading. There we go. So definitely the iPad Air won that one. We'll go with Asphalt 9. 1, 2, 3. Okay, iPad Air again in the lead. This starts to get more intensive, these games. They're very heavy on the, especially the system memory, but on the GPU and CPU as well. You guys probably can see as well how much thinner the bezel, or it looks thinner, the bezels. And here comes the iPad Air first. As I was saying, the bezels are a bit thinner on the iPad Pro than on the iPad Air, as you guys can see there. The iPad Pro is still loading. There we go. So finally it loads it up. The music was coming through first for some reason. Maybe, don't know why. And then it's loaded second. So we've got F1 Mobile. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. So it's loading both of them up. And I think from the looks of it, I think the iPad Pro is a bit thinner as well. I might be totally wrong. I'm going to double check that. But from the looks of it, it looks like it's a bit thinner. I don't know if it's something to do with the camera bump, but it looks it. Okay, so again, that's loaded. They're pretty much getting there at the same time. iPad Air ahead there, as I was saying that. It's about halfway done loading before this even starts. Okay. Let's have a look. So the iPad Air is finished. Still waiting on the iPad Pro. On the iPad Pro is just done now. Okay, back to this. Alright, we're going to go with Call of Duty Mobile. 1, 2, 3. Another intensive app as well. This is about 2.1 gig of the actual app. Is pretty big itself. But what's going to load in first? It's going to be interesting. Both loading now. Looks like the iPad Air started first. Loading it first, should I say. Okay, it's not too far behind. But I think the iPad Air is still winning this. Okay, yes, it looks like it's still going to win. Yeah, so the iPad Air looks like it's opening apps first. It looks like it's a lot faster than what the iPad Pro is, as you guys can see there. So the single core score, I assume, will be higher on this than it will be on this, just from the looks of this already. We're going to Netflix. 1, 2, 3. I open Netflix at the same time. Everything's pretty much the exact same. So that was just my clicking there, but that looks exactly the same. Cross your road, 1, 2, 3. So a lot of the big, heavier apps, it does open faster on the iPad Air. So we've got something to do with, because it's obviously the A14 over the A12Z. YouTube, 1, 2, 3. Again, it's loaded faster, not too far behind, but it is a little bit faster on the iPad Air. Now let's do a few benchmarks, and we'll go Geekbench 5, 1, 2, 3. Right, let's run that. CPU, as you guys can see, 6 gig of RAM, 4 gig of RAM, A14 Bionic, A12Z Bionic, both on 14.1, and you guys can see the rest. So CPU, let's do that, 1, 2, 3. Alright guys, so both of them have just finished now. It took about 20 seconds longer, I reckon, on the iPad Pro than it did on the iPad Air. And as you guys can see, the single core scores, it is actually higher like I predicted on the iPad Air. That's why the apps are opening up a lot faster, or a bit faster than they are on the iPad Pro. But the multi-core score is higher on this than it is on the iPad Air. So it's going to be interesting to see how the apps handle, like when they're exporting like iMovie, see if this exports faster due to the multi-core score. It should, and handling a lot of heavier apps, it might lag less over time. 1, 2, 3. And I've actually run this app before because this takes about 10 minutes to run. So as you guys can see, here are the scores. Now they're not too far apart, but the iPad Pro actually did defeat the iPad Air in the GPU, but everything else, the iPad Air actually beat out the iPad Pro, which is interesting. So there is Antutu benchmark. Now we're going to go on to speed test here. 1, 2, 3. Pretty much exactly the same. Obviously, I'm not going to run it at the same time because it's not going to work at its optimal point, but we're going to see which one has the higher tests. As you guys can see, on the same server, I'm going to run this one first and then the iPad Air. Alright guys, so that's the speed test done. It is slightly higher on the iPad Air. Now, I'm unsure if the antennas got updated in terms of the Wi-Fi antennas. I'm not 100% sure. Because obviously this came out in 2020, so they should be pretty similar, but they might have been updated, but there isn't much of a difference here at all. 108, 109 in downloads, and then 33 and 37 in upload. So not too much of a difference, but there is a slight improvement in this test that I did run. So now that that's all out of the way, I'm going to run an iMovie export test. So 1, 2, 3, open iMovie up. We both have 11 minute, 34 second, 4K, 30 frames a second clips. So we're going to go here, and as you guys will see here, options. I'm going to show you it's both in 4K. We're exporting them at. So let's export this and see which one happens to finish first. 1, 2, 3. Alrighty guys, so both of the movies have exported and actually started off quick on the iPad Air, but for some reason the iPad Pro finished off faster than this did. I think that's got to do with the higher multi-core score and the RAM there, but there weren't too much of a difference, so that's finished there. Now, like I said at the start, I want to see how much the RAM plays a big difference, or if it plays a difference at all in the apps in the background. So I'm going to go through the exact same apps that we launched at the start and see if they're still running in the background. So first of all, we had maps. So 1, 2, 3, pretty much exactly the same. This actually wasn't even loaded as much as I thought it would be. Then we had App Store, 1, 2, 3. Let's close that. And then we're going to go over to the other apps we had here. So we've got Among Us, 1, 2, 3. Again, exactly the same. They weren't even both loaded in. So it starts on the iPad Air first. The iPad Pro wasn't even loaded in there. Asphalt 9, 1, 2, 3. Looks like this was actually loaded more than this was. That's funny to see. You would have thought, there you go. So the iPad Air with the 4 gig of RAM actually has loaded faster than the iPad Pro with the 6 gig of RAM, which is funny. So I honestly thought it was going to be the other way around, but it's not. That's okay. Alright, let's get out of that, and we'll go into F1 Mobile. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so this is where both of them actually are still loaded in the background from the looks of it, as you can see there. Then we had Call of Duty Mobile. 1, 2, 3. They're both still loaded in there. Netflix. 1, 2, 3. Both still loaded in there. Cross Your Road, 1, 2, 3. both still loaded in there as well. And we'll go to YouTube, 1, 2, 3. They're both still loaded in there now as well. All right, let's see which one loads web browsers fast. This is one thing I didn't test before, but I'm going to quickly chuck it in. All right, we're going to go to the Verge on both devices. All right, let's go to the Verge there. All right, so on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. See which one loads up on the internet faster. Pretty much exactly the same there. All right, let's go to apple.com. 1, 2, 3. Pretty much exactly the same there as well. So it wasn't too much of a difference, even with Safari testing there. Let's quickly throw that in. Alrighty guys, that does wrap up the speed test of the brand new iPad Air 4th generation and the iPad Pro 2020 11-inch. For a $900 iPad, there isn't much of a huge difference between these two iPads. For the extra $500 or whatever it is, I don't think it's worth it getting the iPad Pro. I still think the iPad Air, for what it is a very capable device and is very worth it for $900. So if you guys did enjoy, smash the thumbs up button. Let me know in the comments down below if you're picking up the brand new iPad Air. If you do pick it up, let me know what your thoughts of it are. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in another video.